Flour and steel. Sophia Martinez dusted flour from her hands as the early morning light streamed through the windows of Dulcie Dreams. Her small bakery tucked between aging brick buildings in Chicago's Pilsen neighborhood. At 32, she had poured everything into this space: her grandmother's recipes, her culinary school training, and every penny of her savings. The warm scent of cinnamon and caramelized sugar filled the air as she prepared for the morning rush. The bell above the door jingled, unusually early for customers. "Sorry, we don't open for another hour," she called without looking up from the delicate sugar work she was perfecting on a wedding cake sample. "I'm not here for pastries," came a deep voice, smooth as aged whiskey. Sophia looked up to find a tall man in an impeccably tailored charcoal suit surveying her shop with calculating blue eyes. His dark hair was precisely cut, his jaw clean-shaven and angular. Everything about him screamed money and power. "Julian Reed," he introduced himself, extending a business card between two fingers. "CEO of Vertex Development." Sophia wiped her hands on her apron before accepting it. "Sophia Martinez, owner of the bakery you're standing in. How can I help you, Mr. Reed?" "I've acquired this building and the adjacent properties. I'm here to discuss transition timelines." His gaze swept across her colorful walls adorned with local artwork. "We'll be breaking ground on luxury apartments in 4 months. Sophia felt the blood drain from her face. "There must be a mistake. I have a 5-year lease. Your landlord sold with a termination clause. Legally, you have 90 days to vacate." His tone was matter-of-fact, devoid of emotion. "I can offer relocation assistance." "This is my life's work," Sophia replied, anger rising in her chest. "You can't just waltz in here and demolish dreams for another soulless high-rise?" Something flickered in Julian's eyes. Surprise, perhaps, at her defiance. Most people cowered before him. "Business isn't personal, Ms. Martinez." "My bakery isn't just business," she countered, stepping closer. "These are my grandmother's recipes. This neighborhood is my home." Julian's phone buzzed. He checked it, frowning slightly. "I have a meeting. My assistant will contact you with the paperwork." He turned to leave, then paused. "Those smell remarkable, by the way." Without thinking, Sophia grabbed a still-warm cinnamon morning bun and thrust it at him. "Try it before you destroy it." Their fingers brushed as he accepted it, sending an unexpected current through her. Their eyes locked, and for a moment his professional mask slipped. He took a bite, and Sophia watched his expression transform from detached to something approaching wonder. "This is," he began. "Worth saving," she finished for him. Julian cleared his throat. "I'll be in touch, Ms. Martinez." As the door closed behind him, Sophia leaned against her workbench, heart pounding with both fear and something else she couldn't quite name. What she did know was that Julian Reed had just declared war on everything she'd built, and she wasn't going down without a fight. Rising heat. 3 weeks after their first encounter, Sophia found herself sitting across from Julian in an upscale restaurant, still unsure how she'd agreed to this dinner. Their initial battle had evolved into a series of unexpected encounters, Julian appearing at her bakery with architectural questions, Sophia delivering pointed critiques of his vision for the neighborhood. "I've reviewed your business plan," Julian said, sliding a folder across the white tablecloth. "Your concept is viable, but your current location limits your potential." Sophia raised an eyebrow. "You reviewed my financials to help me? The man trying to evict me?" The corner of Julian's mouth lifted. "Consider it due diligence. I've identified 3 alternative locations that would triple your customer base." "Why would you help me?" she asked, studying his face for deception. Julian set down his wineglass. "Perhaps I admire your passion. It's refreshing in my world." Under the warm lighting, his typically icy demeanor had thawed. Sophia noticed how his eyes crinkled slightly when he was being sincere. "One dinner doesn't erase what you're doing to Pilsen," she reminded him, though her voice lacked its usual edge. "No," he agreed, "but it might help you understand why I do what I do." Later, as he walked her to her car, an unexpected rain shower forced them under the narrow awning of a closed boutique. Standing close, Julian brushed a raindrop from her cheek. I haven't stopped thinking about your caramel apple tart, he confessed, his voice low. Just the tart? Sophia asked boldly, heart racing. His answer came as a kiss, tentative at first, then hungry. His hands framed her face with surprising gentleness, contradicting everything she thought she knew about Julian Reed. In the weeks that followed, they created a fragile world between combat and desire. By day, they negotiated over building plans. By night, they discovered each other with increasing intensity. In his penthouse overlooking the city, Julian revealed vulnerabilities behind his corporate armor, the poverty he'd escaped, his self-made success, his fear of returning to nothing. In Sophia's small apartment above a bookstore, she showed him how to knead bread dough, laughing as flour dusted his expensive shirt. Their bodies found a rhythm as natural as her baking, his controlled exterior giving way to surprising passion. "Stay," he whispered one night, his arm draped possessively across her waist. For a moment, Sophia believed they might find a way forward together. Then came the lawsuit. A former Vertex investor accused Julian of fraud, and overnight, his reputation teetered on the edge of ruin. Sophia watched as Julian transformed back into the cold businessman she'd first met, working relentlessly to salvage his empire. "This isn't working," he told her clinically one evening, his gaze fixed somewhere beyond her shoulder. "The timing is inconvenient. I need to focus on damage control." "Inconvenient?" Sophia echoed, the word hitting like a physical blow. "We both knew this was temporary," Julian said, his voice devoid of the warmth she'd grown to treasure. "I have responsibilities that require my full attention." As the door closed behind her, Sophia realized how completely she'd misread everything. To Julian Reed, she had been merely a distraction, a sweet indulgence, easily set aside when business called. Bitter aftermath autumn painted Chicago in amber and crimson as Sophia threw herself into reinvention. The eviction notice had come right on schedule, Julian's signature a stark reminder of what had transpired between them. No special treatment, no compromise, just business. She found a new location, ironically one from Julian's original list of suggestions. The space was larger, the rent steeper, but the foot traffic promised growth potential. Sophia worked 18-hour days, developing new recipes and redesigning her brand. Dulce Dreams 2.0 would be better, stronger, built to withstand storms, including those of the heart. "You look terrible," observed Maya, Sophia's best friend and newly hired assistant, as they painted the walls a deep teal. "When was the last time you slept?" "Sleep is for people without dreams to rebuild," Sophia replied, reaching higher with her roller. "He was an ass," Maya said bluntly. "But killing yourself won't prove anything." Sophia paused, paint dripping onto the drop cloth. "This isn't about Julian, isn't it? You're acting like if you make this bakery perfect enough, it'll somehow erase him." Perhaps Maya was right. Each scathing review of Vertex's new development project brought Sophia a flicker of vindication. Local papers had painted Julian as the villain in Pilsen's gentrification story. The fraud lawsuit had been dismissed, but the damage to his reputation lingered. Across town, Julian sat alone in his minimalist penthouse, nursing a scotch as he scrolled through the latest project reports. The numbers were good. Excellent, even. The pre-sales for the Pilsen development had exceeded projections. He should have felt triumphant. Instead, he found himself searching online for information about Dulce Dreams reopening. The new location looked promising, better than he'd expected, something like pride mixed with regret as he studied the photos of the renovated space. "You seem distracted lately," commented David Chin, his oldest friend and business partner, during their weekly racquetball game. "The lawsuit is behind us. Sales are strong. What's eating you?" Julian smashed the ball with unnecessary force. "Nothing." "Focus on the game." David caught the ball, pausing play. "Is this about the baker? Sophia?" "Don't be ridiculous." "Because Maya mentioned—" Julian froze. "You're talking to her friend about me?" Maya and I have been dating for months. You'd know that if you weren't so self-absorbed lately." David tossed the ball from hand to hand. "For what it's worth, Sophia's doing well. But Maya says something's missing. The joy she used to have when baking." That night, Julian found himself parked outside Sophia's new bakery, watching through the windows as she worked alone, testing recipes in the gleaming kitchen. Her hair was pulled back in a messy bun, her focus complete as she piped delicate designs onto a row of pastries. He almost went inside. Almost. Instead, he drove away, telling himself it was better this way. He'd made his choice. Business first, always. The hollow feeling in his chest was simply fatigue, nothing more. But when the first snow of winter dusted the city, Julian found himself remembering how Sophia had laughed, catching flakes on her tongue like a child. How warm her small apartment had felt compared to his showcase penthouse. How for a brief time his relentless ambition had seemed less important than making her smile. He'd let her go without a second thought. Now, he couldn't stop thinking about her. Part 4. Second Proofing. The grand opening of the new Dulcie Dreams attracted a line around the block. Local food bloggers raved about Sophia's innovative pastries, particularly her signature Phoenix tarts, caramelized creations rising from a bed of ashes made from black cocoa. A metaphor for rebuilding after destruction, wrote one reviewer, none too subtly referencing her displacement by Vertex development. Sophia should have been ecstatic. Instead, she felt strangely empty as she accepted congratulations and rang up sales. Success tasted different than she'd imagined. The bell above the door jingled late afternoon as the crowd finally thinned. Sophia looked up to see David and Maya entering, followed by a hesitant Julian. Her hand stilled on the register. "Surprise," Maya said with forced brightness. "Look who wanted to see your success firsthand." Julian looked different, thinner, less polished. His bespoke suit hung slightly loose, and shadows underlined his eyes. "Congratulations," he said, his voice rough. "The place looks incredible." "Thank you," Sophia replied formally. "Did you want to order something?" The awkwardness hung heavy, until David loudly announced they needed Maya's help choosing pastries, dragging her toward the display case. Julian stepped closer. "I've been following your progress. You've built something remarkable here." "Did you come to offer another acquisition?" "Sorry, but I'm not interested in being part of Vertex's portfolio." "I came to apologize," Julian said quietly. "The way I ended things was perfectly clear," Sophia interrupted. "Your priorities were never in question. They should have been." His directness startled her. "I've been rethinking everything. That's convenient now that I'm successful," she said, but her anger felt hollow, exhausting. Julian placed an envelope on the counter. "I'm divesting from the Pilsen project. The residents are organizing a community land trust. This is my contribution. Anonymous, if you prefer." Sophia stared at the envelope. "Why?" "You asked me once if there was anything more important than profit." "I gave you the wrong answer." He met her eyes. "I miss your cinnamon buns, and your honesty, and the way you see beyond balance sheets to what matters." "Julian." "I'm not asking for anything," he clarified. "Just wanted you to know that you changed something in me, for the better." He turned to leave. "Wait," Sophia called. "At least try the Phoenix tart before you go." A ghost of a smile touched his lips. "I'd like that." They sat at a small table by the window as the winter afternoon faded to dusk. Julian savored each bite, asking questions about her process, her vision for the bakery. Sophia found herself responding with increasing animation, surprising herself with how much she'd wanted to share these details with him. "I should let you close up," he said eventually. As he stood to leave, Sophia made a decision. "There's a neighborhood potluck tomorrow night. At the community center, you could come. If you wanted to see what Pilsen is really about, hope flickered across his face. I'd like that very much. Sweet redemption. The community center hummed with activity. Children racing between tables, elders sharing stories, the aroma of dozens of family recipes filling the air. Sophia arranged her contribution, 3 types of bread and an assortment of pastries, while scanning the entrance for Julian. He arrived carrying not food but architectural drawings, approaching her with uncertainty in his eyes. "I hope this isn't inappropriate," he said quietly. "I've been working on something." She led him to an empty corner where he unrolled the plans, a mixed-use development preserving the historic facades of Pilsen, with affordable housing units, space for local businesses, and a community kitchen. "It's not finalized," Julian explained. "I wanted community input first. Real input, not the performative kind." He hesitated. "I understand development is inevitable, but it doesn't have to erase what makes a neighborhood special." Sophia studied the drawings, then his face. "This is completely different from anything Vertex has done before." "I'm completely different," he admitted, or trying to be. Over the next hours, Sophia watched Julian transform from the aloof businessman she'd first met to someone genuinely engaged, helping an elderly woman to her seat, discussing soccer with teenagers, listening intently to a retired contractor's suggestions for his plans. Later, they walked together along the snowy streets of Pilsen, Christmas lights twinkling in windows. "Thank you for tonight," Julian said. "For giving me another chance." Sophia stopped walking. "Is that what I'm doing?" "I hope so." His vulnerability was new, unfamiliar. "I've spent my life building walls, financial security, professional success. You made me question what I was walling out." She stepped closer. "And what was that?" "Connection. Purpose beyond profit. The messy, complicated joy of caring about something more than balance sheets." He took her hands. "Someone. You let me go so easily," Sophia whispered, the old pain surfacing. "Not easily. I thought it was what someone like me was supposed to do, sacrifice personal happiness for success." Julian's thumb traced circles on her palm. "I was wrong." Snowflakes began falling around them, melting on their eyelashes and cheeks. "I'm not the same person either," Sophia told him. "I'm stronger now. I won't disappear for anyone, not even you. I wouldn't want you to." Julian brushed snow from her hair. "The woman who fought for her bakery, her neighborhood. That's who I fell in love with." The word hung between them, crystalline and fragile as a sugar sculpture. "Love?" Sophia echoed. "Love," Julian confirmed. "Which is terrifying for someone who's spent a lifetime avoiding it." Sophia rose on her tiptoes, her breath warm against his cheek. "Terrifying," she agreed, "but worth the risk." Their kiss tasted of possibility, sweet and complex, like the beginning of a new recipe. Around them, Pilsen continued its evening rhythm, a neighborhood in transition, but holding on to its heart. "Like them. We'll need rules," Sophia murmured against his lips. "Boundaries." Julian smiled, a genuine warmth that transformed his face. "I'm learning that the best things develop slowly, with care and attention to detail, like good bread," she agreed. "Like love," he corrected, drawing her close as snow continued to fall, covering the city in possibilities as bright and clean as a blank page.